What's the current scenario of the Golden Triangle, especially its China connection? Who controlled it in the past, and can the West reclaim it? What's India's role? Okay, good question. Let's go to the map once again. So, when we're talking about the Golden Triangle, you can see the map here. We have India in the center. Now, let's go eastwards. The Golden Triangle is Burma, Laos, Cambodia. Burma, Laos mainly, some parts of northern Thailand, some Canada, sorry, Cambodia, marginally in there. So the Golden Triangle is this place, this geographical region where there is lawlessness, where there is little government involvement, and it is run by mafias and warlords. And um, the main driver or of the economy, the main pillar of the economy is drugs. Um Mainly poppy cultivation and various other drugs essentially. And this is a region that supplies a significant percentage of the global drug usage. So in some places you just have cultivation of poppies. In some places you also have factories that actually transform the poppy, the raw product, into the finished material, which is heroin or whatever it is. Okay, I'm not very familiar with a lot of drugs. Cocaine definitely doesn't come from this because cocaine comes from the coca plant. So we're talking about heroin and various other drugs that are similar to heroin, opium, heroin, and whatnot. Okay, I'm not very familiar with what other drugs come out of this thing. So it's all based on puppies. Puppies. What's the China connection? How did the Golden Triangle happen? I'll not go into that history, but which major powers have been the driving force behind this? That's a good question. So we know about the Vietnam War, don't we? Something that happened. Okay, let's Google when did the Vietnam War happen, just to be very clear about the dates and not do it haphazardly. Vietnam War. So Vietnam War was from 55 to 75. Okay, 20 years. So the Vietnam War is, why did it happen? It's because the Americans did not want communism to take over in Vietnam. And of course, they lost, and communism did take over in Vietnam, and that's a different story. Now, they also, during the course of the Vietnam War, they also bombarded Laos. Very big secret war happened in Laos. Tremendous quantities of bombs were dropped. Even today, people in Laos on a daily basis are getting maimed because of unexploded ordnance. Uh, and you had another disaster in Cambodia. Now, what the Americans did in these regions is they would go to the far off lands, the mountains, the hills, and all that, and they would convert people to Christianity. Those people were called the montagnards, mountain people in French, les montagnards. So they would go and convert these tribal people, people who are isolated, people who live in the hills and mountains, to Christianity. And they did the same in Burma also. Lots of Christian converts, of recent converts in Burma, Laos, Vietnam, etc. And at the same time, the same thing was happening in India's Far East because of the great policies of the great Mr. Nehru. So Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, and other parts of the Far East were converted almost entirely to Christianity. The local culture was wiped out. They tried the same in Manipur also. A lot of that is happening in Arunachal Pradesh. So it's not just in India's Far East. This entire region, they've been trying to do the same thing to control the region, and the main produce is drugs. So I think the Americans have a significant role to play, have had historically a significant role to play in the Golden Triangle. The Chinese obviously did not want too much American influence, so they also had their own pet warlords and their pet mafias who would operate in northern Myanmar, in Laos, etc., because these share a border with China. In Vietnam, it was not possible to that extent because Vietnam was very strongly anti-China, actually, weirdly, after the 79 war and all that. So mainly Laos and Myanmar. Thailand is a very strongly pro-US nation. They have no choice. So it was mainly Laos and in Myanmar that these drug activities happened, and much of this was exported to other countries. But now we know that it's also happening in Manipur. Um, the infiltrators who come across from Burma, the cookies, they have been planting poppy in Manipur and all that. So China is involved. The US has been involved in a very big way. Um, and yeah, that's briefly about the Golden Triangle. Can the West reclaim it? What's India's role? India has no role in this. India has never played any extraterritorial geopolitical games, even if they may be to India's advantage. We have never done that. We have only allowed outsiders to mess up what's inside India. So India has no role in this. Can the West reclaim it? I'm sure the West is still involved in some way or the other in the Golden Triangle.